The Chinese Communist Party thought it had an easy victory, and then you stepped in. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell. The Chinese Communist Party desperately wants to make this man disappear. And thanks to you, that's become a lot harder to do. I'm of course talking about Daniel Suidani. He's from Salomon Islands, a strategically located Pacific island nation that Japan once used as a staging ground to fight the United States in World War II. I wonder why China is so interested in Salomon Islands. The Chinese Communist Party judicially spread bribes around. The Prime Minister, Mansei Sogavare, is entirely bought off. He signed a secret security deal with China, one that could see a Chinese military base on the islands. Why, just like Japan had back in World War II. And of course, like any good authoritarian, Sogavare decided it was in the best interests of his country to delay elections. But that's where Daniel Suidani proved to be trouble for Sogavare and the CCP. As premier of Salomon Islands' most populous province, Malaita, he resisted Chinese influence and bribes. When China bribed Sogavare with development funds to break ties with Taiwan, Suidani pushed back. Unfortunately, Sogavare and the CCP pushed back harder. When Suidani needed life-saving medical treatment, the government copied from the CCP's social credit playbook and denied it to him. He's still alive because Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen heard about the situation and, on humanitarian grounds, got him treatment in Taiwan. But Sogavare and the CCP weren't done yet. Then they used Chinese money to bribe people to strip him of the premiership in a motion of no confidence. It took 3 tries, but it finally worked. Then they stripped him of his duly elected seat in the Provincial Assembly for ongoing failure to recognize the One China policy. Think about that. A democratically elected official was purged because China demanded it. That's very bad. Now, Sogavare's propagandists are trying to set up Suidani for prison, or worse, by saying Suidani is working with the US government to assassinate him. This article was written by the vice president of the Salomon Islands China Friendship Association. What I'm getting at is that Suidani's life expectancy might not be so long right now. Or at least it wouldn't have been if it weren't for you. China Uncensored started a GoFundMe campaign to bring him and his advisor, Celsus Talifilu, to Washington, D.C. to warn the U.S. government about what China is doing. In just 24 hours, you all managed to raise over $27,000 to make that possible. But there were obstacles. First, the U.S. State Department denied Suidani's visa, for no real reason. But in a move as rare, beautiful, and powerful as a unicorn, there was bipartisan congressional support for his visa, and so the State Department caved. Then, GoFundMe froze the money you raised. But after telling GoFundMe that we were in talks with media and that I was testifying before the Congressional Executive Commission on China about their refusal to release the funds, they suddenly decided to release the funds. I'm sure that was just a coincidence. While in D.C., Suidani got to meet with top U.S. officials. He also spoke at the National Press Club and at Georgetown University, and a major event at the Heritage Foundation. And all of that was possible because of you, my China Uncensored viewers. It's now going to be much, much harder for Sogavare and the CCP to make Suidani disappear. While we were in D.C., I interviewed Suidani about what comes next for him. Well, congratulations on your trip to D.C.
Thank you. Well, from the Salomon Islands, for somebody to be in D.C. is a history, actually. So my coming here to the people of Malaita province, it gives them some kind of a hope for things that we are standing for, like freedom, democracy. So while in here, we are so grateful in it to talk with the founding fathers of this idea of freedom, the ideology of freedom. So
It's not easy to fly from there to here.
No, not really easy. So we were so happy to be here, but the way we came here is quite rushed, and we are not prepared to. But thanks to the people who arranged for us to come, we find it very difficult to come. We flew from Solomon Islands to Fiji, where we apply for the visas, and it's quite difficult to get a visa to come to DC. Actually, because of people looking after their country, and they need to get information, so maybe proper information to get a visa to come here.
Your first attempt to get a visa was denied, correct?
Yes. I was told on the day when I went for the interview that my interview was denied. That's all they told me. And
Which is incredible, considering you were trying to come to the United States to warn us about what China is doing.
Yes, so they gave me the passport back the same day with an information sheet of paper saying that you are not providing enough evidences and relevant informations.
I see. But then, fortunately, there was the bipartisan letters from people in Congress that were able to put pressure on the State Department to get you that visa, and you were able to come.
Correct, yeah. I've got some support from the bipartisan from the Congress. They wrote a letter to the embassy in Fiji telling them that they need to get my visa as soon as possible to come here to US. So, and we have seen there is nowhere for being an individual patient in the country fighting on your own for something that is quite huge, like the system that we people, everyone like to be free, actually. So we want to get some help, actually, advices and things that with CCP, actually. We want to understand the whole thing and what actually freedom. We want to feel freedom. Though we come from a very small society, we also want to feel the same freedom that big countries like United States people have. So that's the reason for coming here in the United States, to get some advices and some support in struggling, fighting for the things that we don't want to see in our country, Solomon Island, for that matter.
It's funny because it reminds me of the issue we had with GoFundMe, raising the money so you guys could actually come to DC. That they didn't want to give us the money until we mentioned we were talking to the media and we're going to talk to Congress about it. But yeah, I wonder, is there anything you want to say to the fans of the show who helped raise the money to get you here to DC?
Yes, I think from us, we are so grateful indeed for, supporting us to come here, and the money, things that you have helped us to live here in the United States. That's a very big thing for us, and we are very thankful indeed from our hearts.
And do you think the people here in DC have been receptive to your message, to your warnings?
Oh yeah, I believe people, they have been invited for a lot of meetings with them. So I see I'm very happy that they invite me, and they have the conscience as well. So that's something I appreciate so much.
Now, I know back in the Solomon Islands, there's this propaganda campaign against you to try and portray you as some kind of American-backed terrorist. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you're doing about that?
Well, the information actually comes every now and then in the newspapers about being colluded with USA and Taiwan, getting, firearms to assassinate the prime minister. That is not true. And I know for sure that this information comes so that they can find ways to push me out from representing my people and being an advocate for democracy. So that's always upcoming in newspapers. And for sure this is all, make-up stories. There's no evidence of that the newspaper has been every now and then keep saying that on paper about me, the propaganda that they used to to write about me in newspaper. There's nothing true about it.
And I know the editor of the Salomon Star, correct?
Yes.
The one that accused you of planning to assassinate Sogovari. The editor is also the vice president of the Solomon Island China Friendship Association. So
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Yes, he's the one. He's the one who always, he's been, like I've said, he's part of the whole thing of the CCP, being the representative of what you've said. So he's the one always getting the newspaper. He's the editor of the media. So every day he's doing it.
Are you worried at all about going back to the Solomon Islands?
Well, this is very, very fearful indeed, especially because the whole trend of accusation against me will lead to, arrest and all those things, even though these informations are not true. So it makes me feel frightened a little bit. And my family back at home, media is a very strong tool. And every day my children see the front page about me, telling things about me. So yes, it's something of concern, actually.
So what's next for you?
We'll be going back to the Solomons, and I've filed a court case, which I thank you people for supporting me with the court case. That next week, my lawyer will be advocating on my behalf in the High Courts of Solomon Island, and I'm very thankful. That is my next, place that I will be waiting for the judgment of the High Court, whether it's in my favor. But very thankful. The court in the Solomon Island is very expensive, but I'm so thankful that the GoFundMe has supported me, and that is my next place to see whether I'm coming back or not. Depends on the judgment of the High Court.
And with all the lies that are being spread about you and the harassment of your family, are you hopeful for what's coming next for the Solomon Islands?
If the people do not careful about all these informations, that we know that these information are not true, but if it continue to come up in newspapers, it's going to give the country a big worry, because we start to see people start advocating on not true information. So that's very alarming for people in the country, because that will lead the country to, in the near future, very, bad place to live. It's not friendly. It's no more freedom. It's nothing. So we need to be reminded very strongly about the things that is happening now in our country.
And if the Solomon Islands does fall to the Chinese Communist Party and they are able to silence you, what do you think that means for the Pacific Islands, for Taiwan, for the United States?
In my view, like I've said, the court case that has been against I'm filing is a test of the whole thing. We have the judiciary, as the court is the last place. And if it falls against me and in favor of them, that gives the CCP, some courage in the Pacific to dominate other Pacific islands as well. So that is my view, because they use the law to attack people, leaders. So it's a warning for all the Pacific islands if they are not careful.
Well, thank you for joining me. It's been a real honor to work with the fans of the show to help bring you here to DC, and I really hope your warning has been heard in DC. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching. I think what we've been able to do together to help Mr. Suidani shows what a powerful community we have, one that can move the U.S. government and even foil the Chinese Communist Party's plan a world away. But there's more work to be done. So stay tuned, and thank you for being a part of this community. As always, China Uncensored would not exist without your support. So if you can, for just $1 an episode, you can ensure China Uncensored continues to fight the good fight by supporting us on patreon.com/China Uncensored. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell, and thank you